Have you ever wondered what secrets lie beneath the waves of the Mediterranean, where once flourished a civilization that shaped the very foundation of trade, culture, and communication? In the cradle of the ancient world, amidst the sun-drenched shores of Lebanon, the Phoenicians emerged as enigmatic merchants, their influence stretching far beyond their coastal cities. As the sun rose over the bustling harbors of Tyre and Sidon, the Phoenicians were already plying their trade, their sleek ships cutting through the azure waters like arrows. The year was around 1200 BCE, a time when the Mediterranean was a cauldron of emerging powers, and the Phoenicians stood at the nexus of commerce and culture. Their society was a tapestry woven from the threads of innovation and exploration, with shipbuilding and navigation techniques that would become the envy of their contemporaries. The Phoenicians were not just merchants, they were the architects of an economic revolution. With their trading outposts stretching from the shores of North Africa to the islands of the Aegean, they established a network of commerce that transcended geographical boundaries. But it was their mastery of the seas that set them apart, allowing them to navigate not just the waters of the Mediterranean, but the very currents of civilization itself. In the bustling city of Byblos, considered one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world, the Phoenicians were not merely merchants, they were also the guardians of knowledge. Here, ancient tablets inscribed with cuneiform script tell tales of trade and diplomacy, revealing a society that revered both commerce and scholarship. Byblos was a vital link between the Egyptians and the Mesopotamians, a city where papyrus, a precious commodity, was produced and distributed. This trade would later earn Byblos the title of the Papyrus City, a testament to the Phoenician ability to exploit natural resources and turn them into lucrative goods. As the Phoenicians ventured beyond their shores, they encountered various cultures, each interaction adding layers to their own identity. The striking images of their gods and goddesses, such as Astarte and Baal, adorned temples and trading posts alike, embodying a spirituality that intertwined with their mercantile pursuits. Temples dedicated to these deities, such as the grand structure in the heart of Tyre, served as both religious centers and bustling marketplaces, reflecting the dual nature of their society. Yet, their rise was not without conflict. The Phoenicians had to navigate the treacherous waters of rivalry and enmity, especially with the emerging empires of the Assyrians and Babylonians. The Assyrians, known for their military prowess, eyed Phoenician trade routes with envy, seeking to dominate the rich resources flowing through their hands. But the Phoenicians were resourceful, adapting their strategies and forging alliances that would allow them to withstand the rising tides of conquest. A crucial turning point came with the establishment of Carthage around 818 BCE, a strategic city that would become the heart of Phoenician expansion into the western Mediterranean. Founded by settlers from Tyre, Carthage grew from a modest trading post into a formidable power, its harbor bustling with ships from distant lands. Here, under the watchful gaze of its towering walls, the Phoenicians would further refine their trading practices, establishing a legacy that would echo through the ages. Yet even as they prospered, the shadow of impending conflict loomed, foreshadowing the tumultuous struggles that would shape their destiny. Archaeological evidence from sites such as the ruins of Tyre and Sidon reveals the sophistication of Phoenician society. The remnants of their vast warehouses, filled with amphorae of precious goods like wine, olive oil, and the fabled purple dye extracted from murex shells, speak to a civilization that understood the value of luxury and trade. The purple dye, in particular, became a symbol of wealth and status, sought after by kings and emperors, and its production was tightly controlled by the Phoenicians, ensuring their dominance in the market. As we delve deeper into the mysteries of the Phoenicians, we uncover more than mere traders. We find a civilization that laid the groundwork for future generations. They were the first to systematically develop an alphabet, a revolutionary leap in communication that would transform the way humanity recorded and shared knowledge. This innovation would pave the way for the written word, influencing cultures across the globe, from the Greeks to the Romans. In the rise of this merchant civilization, we witness the dawning of an era marked by exploration, innovation, and cultural exchange. The Phoenicians, with their unquenchable desire to traverse the unknown, became the architects of a legacy that would endure long after their decline, reminding us that even the most enigmatic of peoples can leave an indelible mark on the pages of history. As we sail further into the depths of their story, the question remains: what other secrets await to be uncovered in the annals of the Phoenicians? In the twilight of the Bronze Age, a transformative force stirred within the bustling harbors and sun-drenched marketplaces of the eastern Mediterranean. From the fertile shores of what is now modern Lebanon, the Phoenicians, a people both enigmatic and ingenious, began to carve their legacy into the very stone of history. It was here, amidst the vibrant city-states of Tyre and Sidon, that the foundations of the world's first alphabet were laid, a gift that would transcend time and culture, birthing a new era of communication. The Phoenicians, renowned for their maritime prowess and mercantile acumen, were not merely traders, but also the custodians of a linguistic revolution. They spoke a Semitic language rich in sounds, yet cumbersome in its complexity, a tapestry woven with syllables that, while resonant, demanded an intricate web of symbols to convey meaning. As trade routes expanded, the necessity for a simpler, more efficient method of documentation became apparent. The need to record transactions, treaties, and tales of voyages ignited a spark of innovation that would change the course of human expression. It was in the ancient city of Byblos, a hub of commerce and culture, where the first whispers of this new writing system began to take form. Archaeological excavations have unearthed inscribed artifacts and pottery shards bearing early symbols, suggesting an earnest attempt to streamline communication. The Byblos syllabary, consisting of pictographic symbols, served as a precursor to the Phoenician alphabet. Carved into stone and clay, these early characters were not just letters, but a reflection of the vibrant life around them, depictions of trade goods, sacred animals, and celestial bodies that danced in the cosmos. As the scribes of Byblos etched their symbols into existence, another significant figure emerged from the annals of ancient history: King Ahiram. His tomb, discovered in the 1920s, bore an inscription that heralded not merely the death of a monarch, but the dawn of a new linguistic identity. With a heart steeped in the maritime spirit of his people, Ahiram's epitaph poignantly captured the essence of a civilization on the cusp of greatness. The inscription, though weathered by time, echoed an ambition that stretched across the waves, an ambition to connect not just cities but cultures. It was not long before this nascent alphabet began to flourish, evolving from the crude symbols of Byblos into something more refined and practical. The Phoenicians, masters of adaptation, refined their writing system into a linear script of 22 characters, each representing a consonantal sound. This simplicity was revolutionary. It allowed for a fluidity that transformed the written word from a monumental task into an accessible tool for the common man. The Phoenician alphabet was not just a means of communication, it was the lifeblood of a merchant empire that thrived on the principles of trade and diplomacy. As Phoenician traders sailed from the shores of their homeland to the far reaches of the Mediterranean, establishing colonies in places like Carthage and Sicily, they carried with them this precious gift. Their ships, laden with goods and stories, became vessels of culture, spreading the seeds of the alphabet across distant lands. Each port they touched transformed into a melting pot of ideas, where the Phoenician script mingled with local languages, spawning a tapestry of dialects that would eventually influence the Greek and Latin alphabets. Yet, as the Phoenician alphabet took root beyond the shores of its origin, it also faced challenges. The Assyrians, with their militaristic ambitions, posed a threat to influence and commerce. The scribes and merchants found themselves not only navigating treacherous waters, but also the political tides that sought to suppress their flourishing culture. However, the resilience of the Phoenicians shone through. With every setback, the alphabet became more entrenched in the fabric of society, a testament to their enduring legacy. As we stand today, thousands of years removed from this birth of written language, we are left to ponder the mysteries that shroud the Phoenicians. Who were these extraordinary merchants who changed the way humanity communicated? What secrets lay hidden in the inscriptions of Byblos and the tomb of King Ahiram? Their story is more than a mere footnote in history. It is a riddle that invites us to explore our own connections to the past, to decipher the echoes of a language that still resonates in our modern world. In a realm where once only the spoken word reigned, the Phoenician alphabet emerged as a beacon of innovation, a reminder that the desire to share stories, trade, and forge connections is an eternal thread woven through the tapestry of human existence. Byblos, a name that rolls off the tongue like the gentle waves lapping at its ancient shores, is a city steeped in the mystery of millennia. Nestled along the coast of modern-day Lebanon, it boasts a history so rich that it seems woven from the very fabric of time itself. This was the heart of the Phoenician civilization, a pulsating center of trade, culture, and innovation. Yet beneath its bustling markets and sun-drenched streets lay secrets waiting to be unearthed, secrets concealed within the tombs of its ancestors. As the sun dipped behind the horizon, casting a golden glow over the ancient city, the shadows grew long, hinting at the stories buried within the earth. The tombs of Byblos, some dating back to as early as 4000 BCE, stand as silent sentinels to a forgotten world. Archaeologists have unearthed a wealth of information from these sacred grounds, revealing not only the burial practices of the Phoenicians, but also their beliefs about the afterlife, an intricate tapestry of life, death, and resurrection. Among the most notable sites is the royal necropolis, a vast cemetery that once cradled the elite of Byblos. The necropolis is a labyrinth of stone, its sepulchral chambers carved with care and precision, a testament to both the artistry and spirituality of the Phoenician people. Here lay the final resting places of kings and queens, adorned with exquisite artifacts that spoke of their power and influence. Gold jewelry, intricately designed pottery, and even weapons of war were placed within these tombs, offerings for the journey beyond. Each item tells a story, a whisper of the life that once flourished above the ground. One particularly enthralling tale emerges from the tomb of a woman believed to be a high priestess, discovered in the late 20th century. Archaeologists found her remains surrounded by a trove of exquisite jewelry and ceremonial objects, including a beautifully crafted glass vessel, shimmering like the sea at dusk. This vessel, inscribed with symbols that evoke the divine, suggests that she played a pivotal role in the religious life of Byblos, perhaps serving as an intermediary between mortals and the gods. The presence of such lavish items signifies not only her status, but the reverence with which the Phoenicians approached death, a belief that the afterlife was a continuation of the vibrancy and richness of earthly life. But the allure of Byblos does not rest solely in its tombs. It is also a site of profound historical significance. In 1921, a remarkable discovery was made when archaeologists unearthed the remnants of ancient papyrus scrolls, the earliest known examples of Phoenician writing. These scrolls, believed to date back to the 11th century BCE, revealed a script that would soon evolve into one of the most influential alphabets in human history. It is in Byblos that the seeds of literacy were sown, transforming the ways in which cultures communicated across continents. Yet the enigma of Byblos deepens when we consider the legends that swirl around this city. The Phoenicians, skilled seafarers and traders, are often viewed through the lens of their economic prowess, but they were also a people deeply connected to the divine. Astarte, the goddess of love and war, was venerated here, her worship interwoven with the rituals conducted in the shadow of the tombs. The inscriptions found within the necropolis hint at offerings made in her name, sacrifices intended to ensure favor in both life and death. As the moon rises over Byblos, one can almost hear the echoes of ancient prayers, the soft murmur of supplications drifting into the night. And yet, the tombs of Byblos are but part of a larger narrative, a narrative woven with intrigue and complexity. Throughout the centuries, the city witnessed the rise and fall of empires, each leaving its indelible mark on the landscape. The Phoenicians, often overshadowed by their more well-known neighbors, the Greeks and Romans, were masters of adaptation, surviving through trade and cultural exchange. The secrets they left behind in their tombs continue to spark curiosity and debate among historians and archaeologists alike. As we stand at the threshold of the past, peering into the depths of Byblos, we are reminded of the timeless questions that resonate through history. Who were these people? What dreams did they harbor, and what fears did they face? The tombs whisper their stories, yet the answers elude us, hidden in the sands of time. In the heart of Byblos, the secrets of the ancients await, calling out to those brave enough to unearth them, to unravel the tapestry of a civilization that shaped the very essence of human connection. And as the sun sets on this enigmatic city, we are left with the haunting realization that some mysteries may never be fully revealed, forever entwined with the spirits that linger in the shadows. Under the shimmering Mediterranean sun, the Phoenicians thrived as masterful navigators and shrewd merchants, their vessels gliding over azure waters like shadows of memory, tracing the ancient trade routes that would forever alter the fabric of civilization. From the bustling port of Tyre to the sheltered harbors of Sidon and Byblos, these intrepid seafarers engaged in a dance of commerce that would shape the destinies of empires. But beneath the surface of their maritime prowess lay fierce rivalries, both with neighboring powers and amongst themselves, as they vied for dominance over the lucrative trade that wove through the fabric of the known world. As twilight descended upon the coast, the silhouettes of ancient ships were drawn against the fading horizon. These vessels, crafted from cedar wood, harvested from the mountains of Lebanon, possessed a beauty that belied their purpose. The Phoenicians were not mere traders. They were emissaries of culture, carrying goods that included precious metals, fine textiles, and the famed Tyrian purple dye, a color so rare and costly it was said to be worth its weight in gold. This exquisite dye, extracted from the murex shellfish, became a symbol of wealth and power, a luxury coveted by kings and emperors alike. Yet the pursuit of such riches was fraught with peril, as the seas were home to both natural hazards and the ever-present threat of piracy. In the annals of history, one figure stands out among the tide of the Phoenician merchant elite: Hiram Firmoest, the illustrious king of Tyre during the 10th century BCE. Under his reign, the city-state flourished as a nexus of trade and craftsmanship, forging alliances and establishing colonies along the North African coast and the shores of Spain. His collaboration with the Israelite King Solomon to construct the Temple of Jerusalem is a testament to the far-reaching influence of Phoenician commerce. Hiram's ships, laden with precious goods and timber, ventured into the unknown, navigating the intricate web of Mediterranean currents and ensuring that the name of Tyre echoed across the waters. Yet, the seas that brought wealth also harbored treachery. The Phoenicians faced fierce competition from the Greeks, whose burgeoning naval power was beginning to challenge the dominance of the merchant cities. The rivalry was not merely over trade routes, but over the very essence of culture and influence. The Greeks, with their own aspirations of empire, sought to control the key waterways, while the Phoenicians, ever cunning, adapted to the changing tides, They established their own colonies. Carthage, a vibrant city that would rise to become a formidable rival, was founded as a Phoenician outpost in the 9th century BCE, an assertion of maritime prowess that would echo through the ages. The archaeological treasures unearthed in places like Carthage and the ancient port cities unveil the complexity of these rivalries. Excavations have revealed intricate mosaics and pottery that depict not only scenes of daily life, but also the ships that traverse the seas, laden with trade goods. The remains of the Tophet, a sacred burial ground in Carthage dedicated to the deities Baal, and Tanit hint at the societal structures that supported these maritime endeavors, underscoring the connection between commerce and spirituality in Phoenician life. But what drove these merchant princes to the brink of conflict? As the Phoenicians expanded their reach, they encountered the formidable forces of the Assyrians, and later the expanding power of Persia. The Assyrians, known for their military might, sought to control the trade routes that fed their empire. It was during these turbulent times that the Phoenicians, ever resourceful, employed cunning diplomacy to safeguard their interests, forging strategic alliances with neighboring tribes who shared a disdain for Assyrian oppression. The sea was their refuge, their trade networks a lifeline. Even as tensions mounted, the Phoenicians maintained a culture of resilience, their ships eternally sailing, seeking new horizons and opportunities. Navigating the seas of destiny, the Phoenicians transformed trade into an art form, a tapestry woven with threads of rivalry, diplomacy, and innovation. Their legacy is not merely one of commerce, but of cultural exchange, as they spread the seeds of their alphabet across the Mediterranean, sowing the roots of written communication that would flourish in the empires to come. Yet the mysteries of their navigation remain, like the depths of the sea itself, holding untold stories of adventure, conflict, and legacy beneath the waves. As we look back, the question lingers. What secrets lie beneath the surface of the waters they once sailed, and how did these enigmatic traders shape the world as we know it? In the sun-drenched coastlines of the ancient Levant, where the azure waves kissed the shores of Sidon and Tyre, the air shimmered with the scent of salt and the whispers of the past. Here, among bustling markets and trading vessels, the revered goddess Astarte reigned supreme, her presence interwoven with the very fabric of Phoenician life. Astarte, a deity of love and war, was not merely a figure of worship, but a potent emblem of the duality inherent in existence itself, representing the delicate balance between creation and destruction. The Phoenicians, those enigmatic merchants of the Mediterranean, revered Astarte as a guiding force. She was a goddess who inspired both passion and conflict, her dual nature reflecting the complexities of human emotion and ambition. Depictions of Astarte adorned the pottery and seals of the era, her form often rendered with flowing robes and a crown of horns, symbolizing her dominion over fertility and martial prowess. From the shores of Byblos to the grand temples of Sidon, the worship of Astarte permeated every layer of Phoenician society, leaving echoes that resonate through the corridors of history. Archaeological evidence reveals that Astarte was not only worshipped in her native lands, but also found a place in the pantheon of cultures far beyond the shores of the Levant. In the Egyptian city of Thebes, inscriptions have been discovered that name her alongside Isis, further illustrating the fluidity of religious practices and the Phoenicians' expansive trade networks. These connections forged bonds that transcended mere commerce, intertwining the fates of peoples through shared beliefs and reverence for the divine. The temples dedicated to Astarte, often constructed atop hills for their commanding views, served as both sanctuaries and marketplaces of faith. The Temple of Astarte at Sidon, for instance, was an architectural marvel, its intricate carvings and vibrant frescoes depicting scenes of both earthly love and celestial battles. Here, priests and priestesses performed sacred rituals, invoking the goddess's favor through offerings of grain, wine, and even the blood of sacrificed animals. These ceremonies, steeped in mystery, were believed to ensure bountiful harvests and victorious campaigns. Yet beneath the layers of ritualistic grandeur lay a darker truth. Astarte's association with war was not merely symbolic. It was a reflection of the tumultuous world in which the Phoenicians thrived. The echoes of clashing swords and the cries of battle were omnipresent as the city-states contended with powerful neighbors, including the Assyrians and Egyptians. In moments of conflict, the Phoenicians turned to Astarte, beseeching her to grant them strength and honor on the battlefield, using her name as a rallying cry in the throes of war. Astarte's worship was also intricately linked to the rites of passage and the cycles of life. As the goddess of love, she presided over marriages, bestowing blessings on the unions that would forge alliances vital to the survival of the city-states. The sacred marriage rite, known as the Hieros Gamos, was a central ritual in Astarte's temples where the king would symbolically unite with the goddess, ensuring fertility for the land and its people. This act was a poignant reminder of the intertwining of the divine with the mundane, where human relationships mirrored the cosmic order. As the centuries unfurled, Astarte's influence endured, even as the Phoenicians themselves faced existential threats. In the wake of the siege of Tyre, her shrines became sanctuaries for those seeking solace amidst chaos. The resilience of her worshippers stood testament to their unyielding faith. As rituals continued in secret, echoes of their prayers mingling with the waves that crashed against the ancient city walls. Through the lens of Astarte, the Phoenicians revealed their complexities, their desires for love and connection, their ambitions for power and dominance, and their relentless pursuit of survival in a world fraught with peril. The goddess embodied their struggles and triumphs, her legacy not merely of stone and clay, but etched in the heart of a civilization that dared to navigate the tempestuous seas of fate. As the sun sets behind the crumbling ruins of Sidon, casting long shadows over the remnants of temples once vibrant with life, one cannot help but ponder the mysteries that linger. Astarte, the goddess of love, war, and worship, remains a tantalizing enigma, her whispers intertwining with the winds that carry the tales of the Phoenicians across time, reminding us that history is not merely a record of events, but a tapestry woven with the threads of belief and desire, forever inviting us to delve deeper into the labyrinth of the past. In the shadow of the rugged Lebanese coastline, where the azure waves kiss the sun-baked stones, two ancient city-states rose like titans from the sands of time. Tyre and Sidon, these maritime powerhouses nestled along the Mediterranean, were not mere settlements. They were the pulsating hearts of a vibrant civilization that spun the threads of commerce, culture, and conflict across the known world. Here, the Phoenicians forged their legacy, a legacy shrouded in the mists of mystery and ambition, where the tides of trade met the currents of politics. Tyre, with its fortified island and bustling mainland, exuded an aura of invincibility. The city's walls, tall and imposing, were constructed of limestone and adorned with the vibrant hues of the famed Tyrian purple dye, a sumptuous color that signified wealth and power. The legend of its foundation tells of a goddess, Astarte, who blessed these lands, infusing them with prosperity and influence. It was said that her temple, a majestic structure of alabaster and gold, housed sacred relics and a priesthood that wielded as much power as the merchants themselves. Sidon, the elder sister of Tyre, was equally formidable. Known as the birthplace of the art of glassmaking and the city of trade that navigated the tempestuous waters of commerce with a deftness unmatched by any. Here, the famed king of Sidon, the illustrious Eshmunazar II, presided over a realm that flourished during the 5th century BCE. His tomb, discovered in the mid-20th century, spoke of a ruler revered not only for his military conquests, but also for his dedication to the gods and his people, inscribed with enigmatic phrases that hinted at a deep spiritual connection. To the gods, to the people, the inscriptions echoed, a testament to the intertwining of faith and governance. The political landscape of Tyre and Sidon was a complex tapestry, woven with alliances and rivalries. The ebb and flow of power was often dictated by the mercantile prowess of these city-states, which sought to expand their influence across the Mediterranean. The Phoenicians, seafarers at heart, navigated not just the waters, but the intricate web of diplomacy. They established colonies far and wide, Carthage in North Africa, and cities along the shores of Sicily and Sardinia, each a bastion of trade, culture, and influence. Yet the ambition of these city-states drew the gaze of powerful adversaries. In the 8th century BCE, the Assyrian Empire emerged as a formidable threat, casting a long shadow over Tyre and Sidon. Their military might was a force to be reckoned with. The Assyrians, led by kings like Tiglath-Pileser III, sought to expand their dominion, and the Phoenician city-states stood in their path. The conflicts that ensued were fierce and bloody, yet they only served to fortify the Phoenicians' resolve. The siege of Tyre in 332 BCE, orchestrated by Alexander the Great, would later become the stuff of legend, a tale of desperation and defiance. As the Macedonian forces closed in, the citizens of Tyre, resolute and unyielding, fortified their island, believing that the sea would shield them. What followed was a testament to engineering and determination, an unprecedented causeway built by Alexander to breach the city's defenses, leading to a moment that would mark the end of Tyre's autonomy. Yet amidst the tumult of conquest and conflict, the spirit of the Phoenicians flickered resiliently. They were not merely merchants, they were artisans, scientists, and innovators. The invention of the alphabet underpinned their commercial activities and cultural exchanges, facilitating transactions and the documentation of history. Trade routes crisscrossed the Mediterranean, establishing Sidon and Tyre as hubs of commerce, where the scents of spices mingled with the briny air and the sound of haggling merchants filled the bustling marketplaces. Archaeological evidence reveals the wealth of Tyre and Sidon, as excavations have unearthed exquisite artifacts, intricately designed pottery, delicate glassware, and jewelry that spoke of a culture rich in artistry and sophistication. The famed sarcophagi of Phoenician nobility, adorned with elaborate carvings and paintings, tell stories of a society that honored its dead with reverence and opulence. In the annals of history, Tyre and Sidon have often been overshadowed by the might of empires that came and went. Yet their essence persists in the echoes of the waves, in the remnants of their architecture, and in the written records left behind. They were more than city-states. They were the architects of a legacy that would shape the world. The enigma of the Phoenicians, merchants of the sea and makers of the alphabet, continues to beckon from the depths of history, a reminder that, even in fragments, the past whispers its secrets to those who dare to listen. In the twilight hours of the Mediterranean sun, when the golden rays kissed the earth and shadows danced upon the ancient stones, the air thickened with both reverence and mystery. It was here, in the heart of the Phoenician coastal cities, that the sarcophagi lay, silent sentinels of a forgotten era, whispering secrets of a civilization that once ruled the seas with its merchant ships and exquisite craftsmanship. The Phoenicians, known for their intrepid spirit and trade prowess, were not merely merchants. They were custodians of culture, forging the threads of civilization that would weave through time. Among the treasures of this enigmatic people were the intricately carved sarcophagi that adorned their burial sites. Each piece was a story etched in stone, a testament to their beliefs, arts, and the embrace of mortality. In the ancient city of Byblos, where the cedar trees whispered tales to the winds, excavations unveiled a collection of sarcophagi that astounded archaeologists and historians alike. One such sarcophagus, known as the sarcophagus of Ahiram, revealed an extraordinary narrative. Dating back to the 10th century BCE, it bore the likeness of a nobleman, his features immortalized in the soft limestone, eyes gazing into eternity. What rendered this artifact particularly fascinating was the inscription that accompanied it, an early form of the alphabet, a gift to humanity that would echo through the ages. The inscription hinted at Ahiram's life and lineage, but it was the craftsmanship that spoke of a culture rich in artistry and belief. As the sun sank lower, casting long shadows across the ruins, the secrets contained within the sarcophagi began to emerge. Archaeologists discovered that many were adorned with intricate carvings, scenes depicting the deceased in various aspects of life, hunting, feasting, and engaging in rituals. These scenes were not mere decoration, they were invitations to the afterlife, a means to ensure that the spirit would be welcomed and honored in the realm beyond. Yet it was not only the visual splendor that captivated those who beheld these relics. The materials themselves told a story of trade and industry. The sarcophagi were often made from fine local stone or imported marble, which spoke to the Phoenicians' extensive trade networks. The discovery of certain types of rare red and purple hues used in the pigments suggested that these artisans had access to the famed Tyrian purple dye, prized across civilizations, a color that spoke of royalty and wealth. In Sidon, another Phoenician stronghold, the tombs revealed a different narrative, the Tomb of the Kings, an archaeological marvel. Here the sarcophagi were larger, more elaborate, suggesting the status of those interred within. Each was encased within a grand structure, adorned with intricate reliefs depicting deities and mythological creatures, a reflection of the deep religious beliefs that permeated Phoenician life. The figure of Baal, the storm god, often appeared, symbolizing the duality of life, and death, a protector of the harvest, and a guide for the souls transitioning to the afterlife. As the dust of centuries settled around these discoveries, a deeper mystery unfurled. The sarcophagi were not mere containers for the deceased, they were cultural artifacts that encapsulated the evolution of the Phoenician identity. With each excavation, it became apparent that the artistry reflected not only a deep respect for the dead, but also the complex interplay of life, commerce, and spirituality. The inscriptions, often invoking the favor of gods and ancestors, suggested a society that revered its heritage and was keenly aware of its place in the continuum of history. Yet the enigma persisted. As scholars pieced together the stories of these sarcophagi, questions arose. Why had these artisans chosen certain motifs? What did the symbols mean in the context of their daily lives? Was there an underlying connection between the styles of the sarcophagi found in Byblos and those in Sidon, hinting at a shared artistic lineage, or perhaps a common origin of beliefs? The answers remained elusive, hidden beneath layers of earth and time, waiting for the persistent curiosity of future generations to unveil them. As the last rays of the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the world into twilight, it was clear that the sarcophagi of the Phoenicians were more than just remnants of a long-gone civilization. They were a bridge connecting the past to the present, a reminder that the stories of those who came before us continue to resonate, echoing through the ages, inviting us to ponder our own legacies in the grand tapestry of history. In the sun-drenched lands of the eastern Mediterranean, where the azure waves of the sea kissed the rugged shores, the Phoenicians thrived as masterful merchants and skilled mariners. Their city-states, Tyre, Sidon, and Byblos, stood proud, their bustling harbors overflowing with goods that traversed the known world. Yet amidst this flourishing civilization, a shadow loomed large. The Assyrians, fierce conquerors with a voracious appetite for expansion and dominance. By the 9th century BCE, the Assyrian Empire had begun its relentless push toward the west, aiming to subjugate the independent Phoenician city-states. The Assyrians, known for their iron-fisted rule and a military machine that inspired both awe and terror, posed a formidable threat. Their war chariots thundered across the plains like a tempest, and their armies, disciplined and relentless, were bent on dismantling any obstinate foe that stood in their path. The tension between the Phoenicians and the Assyrians reached a boiling point during the reign of King Hiram of Tyre, a figure whose legacy would be etched in the annals of history. Hiram, often celebrated for his diplomatic acumen and remarkable building projects, found himself caught in a precarious web of alliances and enmities. As the Assyrians tightened their grip, it became evident that a confrontation was inevitable. With skins of the finest purple dye draped over their shoulders, a symbol of status and wealth, Hiram summoned his council to discuss their dire predicament. Archaeological evidence from the ruins of Tyre reveals much about this period. The remnants of fortifications designed to withstand sieges whisper tales of desperate preparations for an impending assault. The city's walls, thick and towering, were a testament to the Phoenicians' resolve and their understanding of warfare. In these moments of foreboding, Hiram sought to forge alliances, hoping to unite the fragmented city-states against their common enemy. The Assyrians, led by the ruthless Tiglath-Pileser III, advanced with calculated ferocity. Tiglath-Pileser was not merely a conqueror, he was a strategist who understood the art of war and diplomacy. His campaigns were marked by terror tactics, and his records, inscribed on stone tablets, boast of victories as he subjugated neighboring kingdoms. The Phoenicians, however, were resourceful. They crafted a strategy built on their maritime prowess, leveraging their navy to harass Assyrian supply lines. The coastal cities became bastions of defiance, their ships darting like silver fish amidst the azure waves. The conflict culminated in a series of battles that would define the fate of Phoenician independence. The most notable event unfolded in 734 BCE, when the Assyrians launched a full-scale assault on Tyre. As the Assyrian war drums echoed across the land, Hiram's forces rallied, their hearts beating in synchrony with the rhythm of impending battle. It was said that the people of Tyre, inspired by their king and the tales of their forebears, fought with the ferocity of lions defending their pride. The sea, their ally, raged with them, and as waves crashed against the shores, the Phoenician ships sailed forth. The battle was brutal and protracted, characterized by a relentless exchange of arrows and the booming of catapults. The Phoenician fleet, though smaller, utilized cunning tactics to outmaneuver the Assyrian forces, striking swiftly and retreating into the depths of the sea like phantoms. Yet the strength of the Assyrians lay not only in their numbers, but in their ruthlessness. They adopted a siege strategy, encircling Tyre and cutting off its supplies. In this moment of desperation, Hiram turned to the gods, invoking the blessings of Baal and Astarte, hoping for a divine intervention. Though Tyre ultimately succumbed to the Assyrian onslaught, the conflict left an indelible mark on both civilizations. The Phoenicians, while losing their political autonomy, would emerge with a newfound resolve, bound together by the crucible of war. The Assyrians, despite their victories, would find the Phoenicians a resilient adversary, one whose spirit could never be fully extinguished. In the aftermath, the rich tapestry of Phoenician culture began to weave itself anew. The defeat did not spell the end. Rather, it sparked a renaissance of trade and innovation as they sought to reclaim their strength. The artisans of Tyre continued to produce the coveted purple dye, and the merchants, undaunted, sailed to distant shores, trading not just goods, but ideas and knowledge, a testament to their enduring legacy. Thus, in the heart of conflict and conquest, the Phoenicians carved their narrative into the annals of history. A tale of resilience amidst despair, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the human spirit endures. In the sun-drenched harbors of ancient Phoenicia, where the azure waves whispered secrets to the shore, a color more precious than gold emerged from the depths of the Mediterranean. This was the legendary Tyrian purple dye, a hue so vibrant and rich that it would become synonymous with royalty and power, yet its origins were shrouded in a mystery as deep as the sea from which it was drawn. Legend has it that the birth of this exquisite dye was a serendipitous discovery made by a young Phoenician named Melkart, who, while walking the rocky shores of Tyre, stumbled upon the shell of the murex snail. As the story goes, the creature's flesh, when crushed and exposed to sunlight, yielded a striking purple pigment. Melkart, entranced by the color, adorned his garments and soon captured the attention of the city-state's elite. However, this was no mere accident. Rather, it was the beginning of a lucrative enterprise that would catapult the Phoenicians into the annals of history. The trade of Tyrian purple was a closely guarded secret, as the process was labor-intensive and required thousands of snails to produce even a small amount of dye. Archaeological excavations at the ancient site of Sidon revealed vast processing facilities, where workers, often slaves, toiled to extract this precious liquid. The streets of Sidon buzzed with merchants boasting of their purple wares, while the nobility of distant lands clamored for garments dyed in this rare hue. A cloak dyed with Tyrian purple was more than a piece of clothing. It was a statement of wealth, power, and divine favor. The dye was not only sought after for its beauty, but also its connection to the divine. The color purple was associated with the gods, particularly Melkart, the Phoenician god of the underworld and protector of sailors. The elites believed that donning garments of this color granted them favor among the deities, ensuring safe passage and prosperity in trade. It was a belief so potent that even the Roman emperors, centuries later, would adopt it as a symbol of absolute power, often forbidding anyone but the highest echelons of society from wearing it. However, the story of Tyrian purple is not solely one of opulence. It is also one of exploitation and environmental degradation. The relentless pursuit of murex snails led to significant ecological impacts in the Mediterranean region. Overfishing and the destruction of habitats resulted in declining populations of these creatures, raising questions about the sustainability of the Phoenician economy. As the demand for the dye grew, so did the cost, both in terms of the labor required and the environmental toll. Among those who reigned during this period was the formidable Queen Dido of Carthage, a Phoenician city founded by exiles from Tyre. Dido, known for her intelligence and cunning, understood the power of Tyrian purple not only as a symbol of wealth but as a tool for diplomacy. In her efforts to establish Carthage as a major player in Mediterranean trade, she utilized purple-dyed garments to impress visiting dignitaries, weaving alliances while draping herself in splendor. Yet this opulence came at a price, as Dido's reliance on the dye trade often strained her relationship with the neighboring tribes, leading to tensions that would culminate in conflict. Archaeological evidence from the ruins of Tyre and Sidon suggests that the dye trade flourished until the late classical period, with vast quantities exchanged along trade routes reaching as far as Greece and Rome. The remnants of ancient warehouses filled with stone vats and heaps of murex shells tell a tale of a thriving industry now lost to time. Yet, the legacy of Tyrian purple endures, whispering through history as a testament to the ingenuity and ambition of the Phoenicians. The fall of Tyre in 332 BCE, besieged by Alexander the Great, marked not just the end of a city, but a pivotal moment in the decline of the purple dye trade. With the rise of new powers and shifting trade routes, the once coveted color would fade from prominence, leaving behind a legacy of wealth entwined with environmental sacrifice. The Phoenicians, once the masters of the seas and the merchants of color, would see their trade eclipsed, yet they remain forever in the tapestry of history, a reminder of how the pursuit of beauty can yield both greatness and ruin. Thus, the story of Tyrian purple is one of contrast, a vibrant hue that encapsulated the spirit of a people whose ambition knew no bounds, yet whose choices echoed through the ages, leaving a complex legacy that continues to resonate in the modern world. As we ponder the mysterious merchant race that gave the world its first alphabet, we must also contemplate the costs of their greatness and the hues that colored their legacy. In the cradle of the Mediterranean, where the azure waves whispered secrets to the shores, there lay a civilization draped in the enigma of commerce and culture, the Phoenicians. As the sun dipped into the horizon, casting long shadows over the ancient ports of Tyre and Sidon, the echoes of their influence on the nascent Greek world began to take shape, weaving a tapestry that would entwine the fates of both civilizations. The Phoenicians were not merely traders, they were cultural emissaries, carrying their goods and ideas with the fervor of a tempest. Their mastery of navigation and shipbuilding allowed them to traverse the vast expanse of the Mediterranean, establishing trade routes that connected distant lands. In their bustling harbors, one could find silks from the East, grains from Egypt, and most famously, the prized Tyrian purple dye, a luxury reserved for the elite. Yet it was not just material wealth that they bequeathed to their counterparts across the sea. It was a profound intellectual legacy that would resonate through time. The Greek historian Herodotus famously remarked on the Phoenicians' extraordinary skills, noting that they were the first to inscribe their language upon the sea-swept cliffs of the ancient world. Herein dwelled a pivotal moment, the birth of the alphabet. The Phoenician script, a series of simple characters representing sounds, would transcend its original maritime context, giving rise to the Greek alphabet around the 8th century BCE. This transformation was not without intrigue. The Greeks adapted and molded these symbols, breathing new life into them, thus igniting a literary revolution that would illuminate their culture. As we delve deeper into the annals of history, we find ourselves in the heart of the Greek city of Corinth, a dynamic hub of trade and innovation. It was here that the influence of the Phoenician merchants began to manifest in art, architecture, and society. The Corinthian pottery of the 7th century BCE, adorned with intricate motifs, reveals a palette and design sensibility inspired by Phoenician craftsmanship. The swirling patterns and mythical creatures echo the tales spun by Phoenician sailors, who narrated their adventures and encounters with the divine. But it was not solely in artistry that the Phoenicians left their indelible mark. The establishment of colonies by the Phoenicians, such as Carthage, served as a springboard for cultural exchanges. As the Greeks ventured westward, they encountered these thriving city-states which were steeped in Phoenician influence. The Carthaginian expansion, with its strategic ports and mercantile prowess, fostered an environment ripe for the exchange of ideas and philosophies. A notable figure in this intricate web of interaction was the philosopher Thales of Miletus, who, inspired by Phoenician traders, sought to understand the world through observation rather than mythology. His inquiries laid the groundwork for scientific thought, propelling the Greeks into an era of intellectual exploration. The Phoenician emphasis on navigation and astronomy likely inspired Thales and his contemporaries to gaze upward, charting the stars and seeking patterns among the celestial orbs. Archaeological evidence corroborates these interactions. In the ruins of the ancient city of Ephesus, a Phoenician inscription was uncovered, revealing trade agreements that bound together the two civilizations. This artifact serves as a testament to the intertwining fates of the Phoenicians and the Greeks, a silent witness to the exchange of goods, thoughts, and traditions that shaped the ancient world. As we wander through the hallowed halls of the British Museum, the intricate artifacts of both cultures stand side by side, telling stories of shared histories. A striking amphora, decorated with Phoenician motifs, rests near a Greek vase depicting a scene from Homeric epics. The juxtaposition speaks volumes of the cultural osmosis that transpired, the tale of Odysseus resonating with the maritime adventures of the Phoenician sailors, both seeking glory upon the waves. Yet the echoes of the Phoenicians extend beyond mere trade and artistry. They heralded an era of exploration and curiosity that would permeate Greek philosophy and science. Their legacy, shrouded in the mists of time, reveals itself in the birth of democracy and the philosophical inquiry that would come to define Western civilization. As the stars emerge in the twilight sky, one cannot help but ponder the mystery that surrounds the Phoenicians, a merchant race whose influence shaped the very essence of Greek identity. Their story, forever intertwined with that of the Greeks, serves as a reminder that in the delicate dance of history, the footprints of one civilization often lead to the blossoming of another. And thus, as we navigate the currents of the past, the Phoenician echoes remind us that cultures are not isolated islands, but rather interconnected realms that thrive on the exchange of knowledge, creativity, and the enduring quest for understanding. In the twilight of dusk, when the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow upon the undulating waves of the Mediterranean, the Phoenicians gathered on the shores of their cherished city-states. The scent of salt mingled with incense rising in tendrils toward the heavens, as they prepared to honor the deities who ruled over the capricious sea, a realm that gave them life and fortune, yet could snatch it away in an instant. These seafaring merchants, descendants of a lineage steeped in both trade and reverence, believed that the ocean was a living entity, a goddess who demanded respect and tribute. They called upon the name of Yam, the god of the sea, invoking him through elaborate rituals designed to appease and placate. The Phoenicians understood that their prosperity as traders relied not only on their navigational prowess, but also on their spiritual communion with the sea. At the sacred site of the great Temple of Baal in Tyre, rituals unfolded, cloaked in a shroud of mystery. Here, priests adorned in flowing robes gathered before a massive altar, its surface stained with centuries of offerings. They invoked Astarte, the goddess of love and war, whose favor they sought for safe passage on their long voyages. As the night deepened, flickering torches illuminated the faces of the gathered crowd, their expressions a blend of hope and fear. Among the faithful stood a prominent figure, Hiram of Tyre, the legendary king renowned for his maritime ventures and architectural achievements. He understood the delicate balance of appeasing the gods while pursuing commercial success. It was said that Hiram had once sacrificed a prized white bull to the sea, sending ripples across the waters as it met its end. The offering was believed to bring bountiful catches in calm seas, earning him both reverence and envy among his peers. The rites often involved offerings of precious goods, gold, silver, and textiles, lavishly embroidered with the deep purple dye that the Phoenicians treasured. This dye, extracted from the murex snail, was a symbol of wealth and royal status. But on particularly significant nights, they offered living sacrifices, birds, goats, and even, in rare and desperate times, human lives. Historical records and archaeological evidence suggest that such sacrifices were not mere superstition, but a desperate plea for divine intervention against calamities at sea. The graves of these sacrificial animals have been unearthed in the coastal cities, evidence of the profound relationship the Phoenicians maintained with the ocean. In one excavation near Sidon, archaeologists discovered a cache of animal bones, meticulously arranged, suggesting a ritualistic significance. They speculated that these offerings were both a means of appeasing the gods and a way to seek guidance for future voyages. But the sea, as ever, was unpredictable. The fury of storms could dismantle ships and scatter cargo to the winds, making the stakes of these rituals painfully high. Folklore among the sailors told of the phantom ships, vessels swallowed by storms, their crews lost to the depths, now sailing eternally in the afterlife, forever seeking the favor of the deities. Such tales served as both a warning and a motivation for the Phoenicians to maintain their devotions. As the waves lapped at the shore, the rituals intensified. Drums reverberated through the night, echoing the heartbeat of the sea, while the priests danced and sang, their voices rising in unison, pleading for protection and abundance. The sound of the ocean, a constant companion, merged with their chants, a haunting reminder of the delicate balance between man and nature. In the midst of this sacred chaos, the spirit of Astarte was believed to descend upon the worshippers, filling them with visions of successful voyages and prosperous trade. It was said that those who truly understood the language of the sea could interpret these visions, guiding their ships into the most lucrative waters. Yet, amidst the fervor of devotion, a lingering question remained. Did the gods indeed heed their cries? Or was the ocean simply oblivious to the plight of mortals? The Phoenicians, ever the pragmatists, knew that the true art of survival lay not only in ritual, but in their own cunning and adaptability as masters of the trade routes. As dawn broke over the horizon, casting a pale light upon the remnants of the night's rituals, the Phoenicians returned to their ships, steadfast in their belief that the blessings of the gods awaited them on the open sea. The mysteries of the ocean remained ever present, a vast expanse of the unknown, both a giver of life and a harbinger of death, a duality that shaped the very essence of the Phoenician spirit, a race of merchants forever intertwined with the rhythms of the deep. In the ancient world where the sun burned bright over the Mediterranean, a civilization thrived that wielded both commerce and divinity with equal prowess, the Phoenicians. Among their pantheon of gods, none loomed larger than Baal, a deity of storm, agriculture, and fertility, whose legacy echoed through the ages, entwined with the very essence of Phoenician identity. To understand the significance of Baal is to unravel the intricate tapestry of a culture that revered the power of nature and the mysteries of existence. Baal, the master of thunder and rain, was not simply a god. He was the very embodiment of life itself. The name Baal translates to Lord, a title that speaks volumes of his authority among the pantheon. This celestial figure was intricately linked to the cycles of planting and harvest, pivotal to a society dependent on the fertile lands of the Levant. As the Phoenicians settled along the coast, they worshipped Baal as a guardian of their cities, particularly in the bustling maritime hubs of Tyre and Sidon. Here, the remnants of ancient temples, such as the Temple of Baal in Sidon, a grand structure adorned with limestone and intricate carvings, stand testament to the devotion that thrummed through the streets. Yet, the reverence for Baal was fraught with complexities. The Phoenicians were not blind to the capriciousness of the elements, and their practices reflected an understanding that appeasing such a powerful deity required more than mere offerings. In rites steeped in mystery, they made sacrifices, some say even of children, to ensure Baal's favor. It was within the sacred groves and atop altars where the cries of priests mingled with the scent of burnt offerings, creating a haunting symphony that resonated with the ancient world. Archaeological evidence from the site of Carthage, a Phoenician colony, reveals a series of tuffets, cemeteries, where urns containing the remains of sacrificed infants were discovered. These chilling relics provoke questions that echo through time. Were these acts of devotion or desperation? The whispers of history remain tantalizingly unresolved. The narrative of Baal transcends mere worship. It intertwines with the identity of the Phoenicians themselves. The annual festivals dedicated to the god were grand spectacles that fostered a sense of unity among the disparate city-states. The most notable was the Baal cycle, a ritualistic reenactment of the god's victories over death and chaos, symbolizing the renewal of life and the fertility of the land. This festival drew merchants from afar, turning it into a vibrant marketplace of culture and commerce where ideas flowed as freely as the wine poured in Baal's honor. Yet this reverence was not isolated. The Phoenicians were masterful navigators and traders, and as they spread their influence across the Mediterranean, so too did the worship of Baal. From the shores of Sicily to the streets of ancient Rome, Echoes of Baal resonated with other cultures, blending with their own deities, creating a rich syncretism that would shape the religious landscape of the region. The Greeks, for instance, adopted aspects of Baal into their pantheon, intertwining him with their own gods, while later cultures would demonize him, transforming the once revered deity into a figure of malevolence. As the Phoenician civilization began to fade, particularly with the rise of the Roman Empire, the legacy of Baal became a double-edged sword. While the grand temples fell into ruin, the stories of Baal endured, woven into the fabric of historical texts and religious dialogues. The Roman historian Pliny the Elder and the Greek philosopher Strabo recounted the Phoenicians' veneration of this tempestuous god, underscoring the impact of Baal on regions beyond the Levant. In modern times, the fascination with Baal persists, prompting archaeological excavations that unveil the complexities of Phoenician religious practices. The ruins of ancient temples, adorned with faded frescoes and altars, continue to be unearthed in places like Tyre and Byblos, inviting scholars and curious souls alike to ponder the depths of a civilization that thrived on trade, innovation, and divine influence. As we delve into the shadows of the past, the legacy of Baal serves not merely as a historical artifact, but as a mirror reflecting the human condition, our quest for understanding, our fear of the unknown, and our need to connect with the forces that shape our lives. The mysteries surrounding this enigmatic deity remain an unsolved enigma, inviting us to explore the rich interplay between faith, power, and the inexorable forces of nature that shape the Phoenician world. In every wave that crashes against the rocky shores of the Levant, one can almost hear the whispers of Baal calling forth the tales of those who once revered him, their voices echoing through the ages entwined with the very fabric of history itself. The sun hung low in the sky, casting its warm, golden light upon the island city of Tyre, a jewel of the ancient world, its purple-hued walls rising defiantly against the horizon. The year was 332 BCE, and the air was thick with tension. This was to be the final chapter in a storied saga of a civilization renowned for its daring maritime expeditions and relentless quest for trade. Yet the very essence of Tyre, beloved by its merchants and revered by its people, now trembled under the shadow of a looming siege. The Macedonian general, Alexander the Great, had set his sights on Tyre, a hub of commerce that had long stood as a bastion of Phoenician power. With an army that had already swept through the Persian Empire, Alexander was not merely a conqueror, he was an architect of a new world order. He approached Tyre not just with swords and shields, but with a vision to consolidate his empire, a vision that would not tolerate the independence of this island stronghold. Tyre was no ordinary city. Its walls, crafted from massive stones and imbued with centuries of history, were believed to be invulnerable. The ancient historian Arrian would later recount the audacity of the Tyrians, who, confident in their defenses, mocked Alexander's ambitions. They celebrated their resilience, believing that the sea itself would protect them from the land-based armies of the Greeks. Yet beneath this bravado lay a profound vulnerability, a thread of dread woven into the fabric of their existence. As the siege began, whispers of despair filled the streets. The people of Tyre, once prosperous traders and skilled artisans, now faced an enemy that threatened to obliterate their legacy. Alexander's forces built a causeway, a monumental achievement of engineering that connected the mainland to the island city, a feat that would haunt the dreams of the Tyrians. Historians have unearthed remnants of this causeway, submerged under centuries of sediment, a poignant reminder of the relentless march of time and power. For 7 months, the siege continued, a harrowing dance of survival and desperation. The Tyrians, besieged but not broken, fought valiantly. They launched incendiary ships, hurling fire and chaos upon the enemy. The sea, once their ally, became a battleground, and the waves bore witness to the ferocity of their resistance. The Phoenician ships, adorned with the sacred colors of their beloved goddess Astarte, became instruments of war, yet even their prowess could not avert the impending doom. As the siege dragged on, food supplies dwindled, and famine began to gnaw at the heart of Tyre. The once vibrant markets fell silent, and the laughter of children faded into echoes of despair. The city's leaders, proud and defiant, convened in secret, weighing their options. They spoke of alliances and the distant hope of reinforcements, yet, deep within their hearts, a gnawing realization took root. The fall of Tyre was no longer a matter of if, but when. In July of 332 BCE, the moment of reckoning arrived. Alexander, ever the strategist, unleashed his war machines, towering siege engines that struck fear into the hearts of defenders. With a relentless barrage, the walls of Tyre began to crumble, each stone falling like a piece of their history. The cries of the wounded filled the air, mingling with the sounds of destruction, a lament for a civilization that had thrived on the very waters that now bore their ruin. Finally, on the day the walls fell, the city was engulfed in chaos. Alexander's troops stormed through the breaches, and the proud Phoenicians, whose ancestors had sailed the seas in search of trade and glory, found themselves cornered, fighting for survival in their own homeland. The streets of Tyre, once teeming with life, became a scene of sorrow and bloodshed. The fate of the city was sealed. Its walls, once symbols of strength, lay in ruins. Yet, as the dust settled, the story of Tyre did not end with conquest. The Phoenicians, resilient as the tides, would endure. They adapted, their culture woven into the fabric of the victors, their legacy carried forward through the very alphabet they had birthed, which would shape the languages of future civilizations. In the quiet shadows of history, the echoes of their voices still linger, a testament to their spirit, a spirit that refused to be extinguished even in the face of oblivion. Thus, the fall of Tyre marked not just the demise of a city, but the poignant reminder of the fragility of power and the enduring strength of identity. As the sun set beyond the ruins of Tyre, it cast a golden hue over the waters, a fleeting moment of beauty in the face of loss, whispering the secrets of a civilization that would not be forgotten. The merchant race that once ruled the seas had met its match, yet in its demise it laid the groundwork for the future, a future forever touched by the echoes of the Phoenicians. In the twilight of the ancient world, when the echoes of civilizations past reverberated through the Mediterranean, the Phoenicians began their transformation from a race of traders into mythic beings steeped in the lore of cultures far and wide. Their identity, once firmly anchored in the pragmatic pursuits of commerce and navigation, began to unfurl into a tapestry rich with legend and meaning, woven through the very fabric of Mediterranean identity. From the bustling harbors of Tyre and Sidon, the Phoenicians ventured into the vast unknown, their galleys slicing through the sapphire waves like swift shadows. These merchant seafarers were not merely purveyors of goods. They were architects of culture, carriers of ideas, and weavers of connections across disparate lands. As they exchanged precious purple dye and exquisite glassware, so too did they exchange stories that would ripple through time, reshaping the identities of those they encountered. With each port they touched, they left behind a fragment of their essence, transforming from merchants of the material into embodiments of a rich collective identity. As the centuries passed, the Phoenicians began to inhabit a dual existence, that of the merchant and that of the mythic figure. Archaeological sites across the Mediterranean, from the ruins of Carthage to the shores of Malta, reveal a civilization that increasingly celebrated its own narratives. The monumental remains of temples dedicated to deities like Astarte and Baal, adorned with intricately carved symbols and inscriptions, tell tales of a society that revered its pantheon, elevating its gods to a status that transcended mere worship. In these sacred spaces, merchants and seafarers transformed into pilgrims, seeking favor from divine entities who governed both trade winds and fortunes. Yet it was not only the gods who inspired reverence. Historical figures from Phoenician lore began to emerge, their stories forging pathways through the annals of history. Hiram of Tyre, the legendary king who forged an alliance with Solomon, became a symbol of prosperity and wisdom. According to ancient texts, it was he who facilitated the construction of the Grand Temple in Jerusalem, a feat that positioned Phoenicians not merely as traders, but as pivotal players in the biblical narrative. This intertwining of commerce and divine destiny allowed the Phoenicians to transcend their humble origins, morphing into legends that would echo through the ages. As they reached the shores of Greece, the tales of the Phoenicians began to intertwine with the fabric of Greek mythology. The Greeks, recognizing the Phoenicians as masters of the sea and cunning traders, adapted their stories into their own cultural narratives. Cadmus, the legendary founder of Thebes, was said to have brought the Phoenician alphabet to Greece, a gift that would change the course of history. This act of cultural exchange not only elevated the Phoenicians to near-mythic status, but also cemented their legacy in the annals of Western civilization. Yet the journey from merchant to myth was not without its shadows. The very identity the Phoenicians cultivated was threatened by the encroaching empires that sought to dominate the seas and the territories of their trading routes. As rival powers emerged, particularly the rising might of Rome, the Phoenician identity began to intertwine with narratives of struggle, resilience, and ultimately, survival. Their storied encounters with these empires morphed into sagas of defiance as the remnants of their culture, such as the famed Carthaginian general Hannibal, became emblematic of resistance against overwhelming odds. The archaeological ruins of Carthage stand as a testament to this complex evolution. Once a thriving metropolis, its remnants whisper tales of a civilization that faced annihilation, yet left an indelible mark on history. The Punic Wars, waged against Rome, transformed tales of proud merchants into epic narratives of valor and sacrifice, enshrining the Phoenician identity in a context of heroism and tragedy. As time unfurled its relentless tapestry, the Phoenicians slipped further into obscurity, their identity becoming a mosaic of myth and memory. Yet the shadows of their past continue to whisper through the ages, inspiring scholars, poets, and dreamers alike. The alphabet they created, the very foundation upon which modern writing rests, speaks to their lasting influence, a silent witness to their journey from the bustling markets of Tyre to the hallowed halls of myth. In the end, the Phoenicians were not just merchants of goods, they were merchants of culture, weaving the threads of their existence into the very fabric of history. Their transformation from merchants to myth is a testament to the enduring power of identity, shaping and reshaping itself through the ages, eternally echoing in the hearts and minds of those who seek to uncover the mysteries of a civilization that dared to dream beyond the horizon. In the quiet corners of history where whispers of ancient tongues drift like ephemeral smoke, the Phoenicians linger, a ghostly echo of a civilization that shaped the fabric of the Mediterranean and beyond. Today, they inhabit the collective memory of a world that has forgotten their names, but not their legacy. The Phoenicians, once vibrant merchants and intrepid sailors, left an indelible mark that weaves through our modern lives, threading through languages, cultures, and even the very alphabets we use to communicate. The first stirrings of this enduring legacy can be traced to the very alphabet they devised, a deceptively simple series of symbols that unlocked the potential of communication and commerce. Scholars assert that it was the Phoenicians who distilled the complexities of cuneiform and hieroglyphics into a streamlined form of writing that could be mastered by any merchant eager to carve their mark upon the scrolls of history. From Byblos to Carthage, this alphabet spread like wildfire, igniting the flames of literacy and commerce throughout the ancient world. Its influence cascaded across time, paving the way for Greek and Latin scripts, which in turn gave birth to the alphabets we employ today. The Phoenician script, therefore, is not merely a relic, it is a living testament to the ingenuity of a people who valued trade as much as they cherished communication. Amidst the ruins of ancient cities, we find hints of the Phoenician presence. In the sands of modern-day Lebanon, the site of Tyre reveals remnants of a once thriving maritime hub. Yet it is not just the stones that tell their tale, it is the artifacts hidden beneath them. Archaeologists have unearthed pottery shards adorned with inscriptions that echo the sounds of a language once spoken by the merchants of the sea. Each fragment, a piece of a larger puzzle, speaks to their extensive trade networks, their interactions with other cultures, and their role as cultural ambassadors in a world that was, at the time, rife with strife and competition. As we navigate the corridors of history, we stumble upon figures like Hiram of Tyre, a king whose reign saw the flourishing of trade and the construction of monumental buildings, including the famed Temple of Solomon in Jerusalem. Hiram's story, however, is not merely one of architecture, it is emblematic of the Phoenicians' role as intermediaries between diverse cultures. Their ability to connect different civilizations through trade and diplomacy is reflected in the way their legacy has endured, adapting and evolving through the ages. In the annals of time, the Phoenicians have often been overshadowed by their more militaristic neighbors, the Greeks and the Romans. Yet in the realm of memory, they emerge, cloaked in mystery. They are the sailors who navigated uncharted waters, the merchants who dared to dream of distant lands filled with riches. Modern-day scholars and enthusiasts continue to unravel the enigma of the Phoenicians as archaeological expeditions reveal more about their lives, beliefs, and traditions. The recent discoveries in Carthage, particularly the Tophet, a sacred burial ground where offerings were made to deities, have ignited debates about their practices, particularly the controversial notion of child sacrifice. These findings challenge our perceptions and compel us to reconsider the complexity of Phoenician society, revealing layers of humanity intertwined with their mercantile pursuits. The reverberations of Phoenician culture can also be felt in contemporary art and literature. The stories of their voyages inspire novelists and poets alike, while the vibrant hues of Tyrian purple, derived from the murex snail, have found their way into modern fashion and design, symbolizing luxury and status. This enduring influence is a reminder that the Phoenicians, though fragmented in memory, continue to shape our world in ways we may not fully comprehend. As we stand on the precipice of modernity, the Phoenicians compel us to reflect on the power of connection, to understand that the threads of trade, language, and culture weave a tapestry that transcends time. Their story is an invitation to explore the mysteries of our past, to seek the echoes of their influence in our lives today. Though they may have vanished from the pages of history as a distinct civilization, the Phoenicians live on in the very essence of our global interconnectedness, a testament to the enduring spirit of a merchant race that dared to traverse both land and sea, crafting a legacy that would echo through the ages.